this is not really another scriptural study, but rather an update on my brain tumor and or acoustic neuroma status. And we'd like to thank all of the Bereans out there for your concern and your suggestions as I've gone through this for over a decade. And I'd like to give an update on where I'm at this time, because it is affecting the YouTube channel and some of the assemblies and some of the studies that we're doing, let alone many of you on this particular Facebook group that I've been allowed to be an admin on, thanks to Yara, are asking questions. So I'll do my best to put all of that to bed. So as it relates to this particular clip, it is entitled Brain Tumor or Acoustic Neuroma Update. Now, what is it? Number 1. 2, how long have I had it? 3, where are we at now? 4, what am I doing to recover? 5, will it affect the scriptural studies? 6, will it affect the scriptural assemblies that we've participated in and also help support the facilitation of some of these assemblies? And finally, number 7, will it affect this YouTube channel moving forward? So these are some of the questions that people are asking now that they are aware that I have what is called acoustic neuroma, also known as vestibular schwannorma. I've had it now for well over a decade, and it's a tumor that sits on the left 8th cranial nerve. So on my left ear, it sits on the cranial nerve, the 8th nerve that is attached to the brainstem. So I was experiencing symptoms that I did not understand in the early 2000s, and I was officially diagnosed by 2015. So if you stop the video here now, you'll understand that it affects the left 8th cranial nerve, your auditory nerve. So I've lost my hearing in the left, and if the tumor continues to grow, it can affect your facial nerve, and as a result, it can cause drooping of the face. You'll lose muscle control. So let's talk about what this actually is. And it has been a gift. Now, some people find that very weird to hear. I say that occasionally. Well, having a condition such as this that is life-altering can be a gift. In my case, it slowed me down. It made me look at things in a far more deeper manner, in a more detailed manner. What's important? So let's talk about this condition. 1 in 350,000 people, or 3.5 in a million, are diagnosed annually. So it's very rare. And as a result, it grows. So some people, it grows very quickly. In my case, it has grown slowly in these past, let's just say 20 plus years. It is presently 2.9 by 1.9 by 1.9 centimeters. Length, width, and girth. Remember, if you're still on the imperial system and not the metric system, 1 inch equals 2.5 centimeters. So in my case, it has grown eventually. Slowly, but over the years, it has grown. And when it grows, even though it's non-cancerous, it can cause pressure on the brainstem and actually kill you. So there was a decision that had to be made. It was time to decide whether or not I get the only 2 procedures done, which are 1, they peel the ear back, they cut it back, and they drill in the side of your head, and they do their best to cut the tumor out without touching any of the nerves. If they nick or touch any of the nerves or any other parts of the brain, there are complications up to and including learning to walk again, learning to talk again, let alone other problems cognitively. So I stayed away from that decision to do that, and I went for what is called gamma knife surgery, which is nothing more than radiotherapy, which is concentrated radiation beams. So I thank all of you in this past 20 years for your outpouring of concern and your suggestions on how to deal with all of this during this time period, especially in the last 3 years. Many of your suggestions have helped me to navigate through the symptoms, which I'll go through here in a minute. So I'll be ever grateful, ever thankful and appreciative of this outpouring of concern, because some of these suggestions have helped me get through this and still be able to function with the YouTube channel, participate in assemblies, let alone many other parts that we do with our scriptural studies in words, names, and the law, including the calendar. I do have to say, though, out of all the suggestions, the miracle of new moon days, Sabbaths, and feast days, and the rest and restoration behind them of peace has been the most significant gift in regards to dealing with this condition. So if you know of someone that is going through something like this, or is in great need of restoration and peace to heal and to recover, please do not discount the miracle of new moon days, Sabbaths, and feast days. It's been phenomenal. And it's something why we continue to be so committed to the YouTube channel with studies, scriptural studies on words, scriptural studies with names, scriptural studies with the law, including the calendar, and many others. So question 1 and 2, what is it? How long have I had it? Well, an acoustic neuroma, also known as vestibular schwannoma, is a non-cancerous tumor. It develops on the balance nerve, in my case, left 8th cranial nerve right over here, known as the vestibular nerve, and on the auditory nerve, known as the cochlear nerve or cochlear nerve. These nerves lead from your inner ear to the brain, as shown in the image. Stop the video now if you're interested in seeing this a little bit more from a detailed fashion, if you will, or manner. An acoustic neuroma develops from the Schwann cells covering the vestibular nerve. Think of it as a rubber hose or your water hose, gardening hose, and you have a covering, in this case, Schwann cells, a covering. An acoustic neuroma is usually slow growing. In my case, it has been for over 20 years. Rarely it may grow quickly and become large enough to press against the brain and affect vital functions. Treatments for an acoustic neuroma include monitoring, radiation, and surgical removal. So we have been monitoring the acoustic neuroma for, I would say, I was officially diagnosed in 2015. So from that time period in those summer months in the pagan year 2015, we've been monitoring it because it was smaller than 3 centimeters. And they monitor it, and that means you take an MRI once a year. So because getting the treatment that I just did, gamma knife surgery, has risks, and the surgical removal is very invasive. It's high risk. So we've been in a holding pattern, if you will. Well, almost 2 months now, it has been since I've had the gamma knife surgery, the radiation, and we'll talk about that. The cause of acoustic neuromas can sometimes be linked to a problem with a gene on chromosome 22. If you want to understand this in a better fashion, study chromosome 22. Typically, this gene produces a tumor suppressor protein that helps control the growth of Schwann cells covering the nerves. In my case, for whatever the reason, they just don't know why the Schwann cells have been let loose. And they're growing larger, so there's more of a covering on the garden hose, on the left 8th cranial nerve, so to speak. Experts or the medical community presently do not know what causes this problem with the gene. Again, presently there is no known cause for an acoustic neuroma. This gene change is inherited in people with a rare disorder called neurofibromatosis type 2. People with neurofibromatosis type 2 usually have a growth of tumors on the hearing and balance nerves on both sides of the head. Hallelujah, I do not have that. I just have it on the left. These tumors are known as bilateral vestibular schwannomas. I only have it on the left. As bad as it is on the left, I cannot ever fathom how someone could go through this on two sides, but people do. Symptoms of an acoustic neuroma are often easy to miss and may take years to develop. Symptoms may occur because of the tumor's effects on the hearing and the balance nerves. The tumor also can put pressure on nearby nerves, controlling facial muscles, known as the facial nerve, and sensation, known as the trigeminal nerve. Blood vessels or brain structures also can be affected by an acoustic neuroma. Symptoms. As the tumor grows, it may be more likely to cause more noticeable or worse symptoms. And in my case, it is very real. So the common symptoms of an acoustic neuroma will include, number one, hearing loss. I am now legally deaf in the left ear. Ironically, though, if I get a ton of rest and I follow the new moon days, the Sabbaths, the feast days, and I rest and I go through the process of YAHsome worship, so to speak, I can hear the lower frequencies. The higher frequencies are gone, but the lower frequencies, just a little bit. Number two, ringing in the affected ear, known as tinnitus or tinnitus. I pronounce it tinnitus, and mine's extremely loud. So as I'm speaking to you or narrating this video, the tinnitus in my left ear, the level, volume, is louder than my voice. That's 24/7. It never goes away. So you really have to have that rest. And this is why new moon days, Sabbaths, feast days are just YAHsome. They calm everything down and they get you to focus and zone it out as best you can. Number three, loss of balance or not feeling steady. So I've experienced that in a big way. Number four, dizziness, vertigo, and nausea. Thankfully, number four, I've only experienced vertigo for 1 week on and off, way back when, years ago. But I thankfully do not have that symptom. Five, facial numbness and rarely loss of muscle movement. So I do have facial numbness, but thankfully at this point, I don't have loss of muscle movement where the face starts to droop. That can happen, and even happen considering the after effects of gamma knife surgery. Six, in some cases, instances of massive fatigue. And I experience this in a big way. It's like someone takes the plug out of my body and I drop. No more juice whatsoever. And I'll go for a 3-hour nap. I'll go in the fetal position. Sometimes massive headaches. And but again, if I get my Sabbath rest, my new moon days, my feast days, it's very manageable. And number seven, rarely it may grow large enough to compress the brainstem, where it grows so much that it becomes life-threatening. So thankfully, I'm not at that point, but it can get to that level, and thus the reason it was decision time. I had to make a decision. If I didn't stop it growing past 3 centimeters, I would get in the danger zone of number 7. So, loss of balance or not feeling steady. I used to ride a road bike approximately 3 times every 2 weeks, and I would do 70 kilometers for each of those sessions. Loved road biking. Stayed in shape. I really didn't do it for that. I just enjoyed getting out on the back roads and the farm fields. It was a wonderful passion, but it's done. I can no longer ride a bike. I have no balance whatsoever. I used to ride mountain bikes. That's gone. So I sold all my gear. And I'll talk more about this at the end of the clip on how I, let's just say, overcame this challenge. And then finally, I used to kayak, but again, kayak, it's a very narrow boat. The tumble home is the shape of the bottom of the boat, and it's very narrow, so I would flip and just go in the water. So that passion, or hobby, if you will, went away as well. So I'll talk more about this and how I got around this. So, again, treatments for an acoustic neuroma include monitoring, which I did for many years, from 2015 on, and then decision time. So I chose gamma knife radiation versus surgical removal. So let's talk about that now, because surgical removal would have meant the possibility of having to learn to walk again, the possibility of having to learn how to talk again, and up to and including death. Very risky. Again, they peel the ear back and they drill in the side of the head, and you have to trust the brain surgeon to have a great day and not nick any of the nerves or touch any of the other parts of the brain. So very risky. So I stayed away from that. Gamma knife radiation is a procedure where they put you on a table and they put your head in a mask and you can't move. And I had 5 sessions that all happened about 3 weeks before Passover. And each session was 40 minutes long. The first 3 were a piece of cake. The 4th one, I felt fatigue after, which is extremely normal. And then the 5th one, some more fatigue. And for a month, I was basically down. And that's why some of you are seeing a slowdown on the amount of scriptural study videos we're releasing, let alone taking up to 2 to 3 weeks to respond to emails, posts on different platforms, and so forth. So please have patience as I go through this recovery time period. So this procedure will take 6 months to find out if it worked or not. So the pagan months of end of August, pagan September, they'll do another MRI on me, and this is the machine that I actually went in to get this done for the gamma knife surgery, which is high beams of radiation. And it's very focused to the one spot on the left. It was an amazing, amazing device. And this is the machine itself. So make a long story short, it will not cure me. There's no cure for acoustic neuroma. But this procedure is designated to stop the tumor from ever growing again. And in some rare cases, it actually shrinks. So we're going to find out during this recovery process by the month of pagan September whether or not, just before Sukkot, whether or not it worked. Now, if it doesn't work, I may have to contemplate getting real surgery where they go in and they cut it out. So this is why we requested for supplications, palal, if you will, prayer to the Father of Lights, Yahuwah himself, the only self-existent one, that this procedure actually worked, because the miracle of New Moon Day, Sabbaths, and feast days have served me for 2 decades of working and providing for a family, even with this condition and the symptoms that come with it. So I'm very thankful. So moving forward, it's a whole new ballgame. And the other thing or risk with this treatment is it could actually it could change the tumor into a cancerous tumor. Very low risk, 1% range. And that could happen 15 to 20 years from now. Well, I'm finishing up my 64th year, going on my 65th year here very soon. And again, if that did happen, I'd be gone by then anyways. And some of you as Bereans who study quite a bit, well, the question is, the world is passing away. I'm not trying to make fun of it, but will the world be around in its present state as it is today in 15 to 20 years? And we highly doubt it, obviously. So that's question 1. What is it? 2, how long have I had it? 3, where are we at now? So I'm in a holding pattern again, waiting till end of pagan August, pagan September, just before Sukkot, to get another MRI to find out if the procedure worked. So we'll keep you posted. Well, the final 4 questions, what am I doing to recover? So let's just start with this one, and then we'll talk about the effect on scriptural studies, the assemblies, and the channel itself. So what am I doing to recover? Well, I take my trusty steed, my Jeep of, it's almost 12 years old. It's been through the ringer. And I went last week out in the wilderness, in creation. And I immerse myself in it literally. And the process of immersion, of cleansing oneself, like they did at the pool of Shiloh at the temple, is a process that's very helpful as well. So I actually immerse, full body immerse, Palal, thank Yahuwah for everything that he's given us, me, my family, my better three-quarters, my children who are all over 31 years of age, the grandchildren, etc., and all of the Berean friends that we get to study with. So, make a long story short, this is step one. I always do this, and this is why I'm a little bit more not as diligent with the YouTube channel and some of the other platforms. I'm recovering. This is where I'm doing it. And again, the process of baptism in and from the beast, the Roman Catholic Church, the Second Babylon, is a one-time process as a baby. That is not the scriptural process of immersion. We need cleansing constantly. And this is what new moon days, Sabbaths, and feast days are all about, let alone immersing ourselves. So I enjoy this process, and I go out in creation to do it. And I get out there, and these are photographs from last week. And I bring my stargazing chair, I set up my table, and I cook lunch, breakfast, or supper, and I just enjoy. I breathe in that clean air, that clean water, the clean colors of creation. It's just wonderful. And tinnitus, if you have tinnitus or you pronounce it tinnitus, sit by a waterfall for, let's say, an hour to 2 hours. Better yet, set up a tent, and it calms down the level, let alone it allows you, it's called white noise, and it allows you to block out the pain of having that ringing. So it works extremely well. In order to do all this, I also tent. So in my mid-60s, it's refreshing. It's the process of restoration. We set up our booths, and so if you're wanting to know what I'm doing to recover, well, I've been doing this process since 2015. I went back to it from my earlier and younger years when I was a child, growing up. And my better three-quarters and I have just enjoyed this. We call camping the scriptural process of booths, or restoration, if you will. So we set up our booths, and it's just wonderful. And we make it a lot of fun. So this was my setup last week. I have various tents. As the weather is warmer, I use tents that allow us to enjoy that weather. If it's raining, I put the tarp on. If it's not raining, I take this tarp away. I take the actual top off the tent, and we sleep under the stars. We see them. We take film and photograph footage of it. And we don't rough it. The best of mattresses, lighting in the best way. I also have sleep apnea, which comes from this neurological condition that I have. And so we get it done. We do not let our challenges stop us. We're not victims of our own circumstances, if you will. So, talking about the stars, well, Psalms 19, verse 1 through 2. So if you're looking for a process of restoration and or recovery, no matter what you have, and in my case, a brain tumor, the heavens are proclaiming the esteem of the Almighty Father of Lights, Yahuwah himself. Al, A-L, not E-L. A-L is the Father of Lights. E-L is a Canaanite deity, regrettably. The change of one letter means an immense difference. And the expanse is declaring the work of Yahuwah, the Father of Lights. His hand, day to day pours forth speech, and night to night reveals knowledge. So this picture was taken at the dawn, at first light, just a few minutes after. And notice there are two stars that I got pictures of, and one's really not a star, and one's another planet, if you will. But as you can see, first light's coming up. It's beautiful. There's the canoes on the side of the water. So what time is this? Well, the scriptural day start is the dawn, or first light. And it's when fourth watch starts. So dawn was 2:49 a.m., and this photograph was taken at 3:06 a.m. Eastern Standard Time Zone. It is the 6th day of the 3rd month, the pagan day of Thursday, June 27th, 2024. So the moon was at 78.3% illuminated. It was waning, losing light. The moon is solar powered, as many of you are getting outside and testing and proving that with photographs and film footage by hour. It's just wonderful. So Tracy, Rawl, Willabelle, I can go on and on and on. Marcus in Germany. I apologize if I don't mention all of you. My friends in New Zealand, Australia, Africa, Europe, on and on, South America, I can go on and on. But make a long story short, thank you for approving that. So the moon is at 143 degrees southeast, 24 degrees above or beyond the horizon, if you understand that metric. And you'll notice that I picked up on my camera. And yes, you can film and photograph stars with a full moon, let alone a 78% moon. Some people are not aware of that. Why? They don't get outside and test and prove. That's all it is. There's a lot of debates, but usually the debates revolve around people that are not restoring, that are not recovering. And you don't need big equipment. This is actually taken on an iPhone 12, and I've had success on lower models of phones from the Samsung series. I think J130, I can't remember the actual serial number or design. And many of you with even lower cost phones than that. So it's very basic. Use Nightcap. It's an app that works extremely well and gives you the ability on your phone to do that, or your mobile device. So notice, I know that was Saturn and a star called Scat. It had a parent magnitude level, absolute magnitude level of 0.55, and a magnitude of 3.25. And I still picked it up. So that's on the outer range, and you'll still pick it up. In fact, I picked up two others, but the one that was the brightest was Scat. So go back to the picture. There it is. And then you just take the photograph and you overlay it on Stellarium. There it is, 3:06, June 27th. Very basic to do. And how you know the degrees, position on a compass, and then height you do with your fingers, right? So make a long story short, very easy. And then that was looking north towards a throne. Looking south. So let me go back here so I don't confuse people. So that's looking towards the southeast. Now if I turn around and look towards the throne, yes, the throne is north in the heavens. And there's Ursa Major. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? Job 38, chapter 32, verse 33. Do you bring out the constellations in its season? So many of you see an Ursa Major diagram where between the second and third watch, it's on its side in the summer. Well, we're in the summer now, and by the fourth watch, it'll be down here. So very easy to use if you understand how to use it. Or do you lead the bear with its sons? Well, one of the sons is the star known as Arcturus, the fourth brightest star in the heavens that we can see with the unaided eye. And it was known anciently as Ash. And it's known as the bear follower or bear watcher. Ursa Major is known as the bear. And it helps us understand a little bit of the laws of the heavens. We're still learning. We're not teachers. We're just Berean scriptural study students with a lot of study buddies all over Earth that take film and photograph footage and, forecast in advance. Because we don't set the rule over the Earth. Yahuwah, the Father of Lights, does. So again, you overlay that. There's the 7-star cluster known as Ursa Major, the bear, and you overlay it onto Stellarium. There it is, 3:06. I'm looking north. So Merrick and Dubé point us to the north. Ursa Major points us to the twins, if you know what you're looking at. And the tail end, these three stars, Aloth, Mizar, and Alke point us to Arcturus or Ash, and then on to Spica. If you're a Boy Scout, You learned that from the Boy Scouts manual. So again, restoration, for whatever the reason, I do this, and part of my recovery process, this makes me feel like I'm 10, 11 years old again. I'm a Boy Scout. It's wondrous. It fills me with energy. It juices me up, if you will. So I'm drug-free, alcohol-free, etc. Make a long story short, if you're looking for great recovery, no matter what you're going through, great restoration, this may be a suggestion that can work for you. It does wonders for me, and why I beg, I cry out at the dawn to Yahuwah for help, that I get the privilege of continuing to do this. So, loss of balance or not feeling steady. Well, I told you that I can no longer bike. I have no more balance because it sits on the cochlear nerve. I have no more equilibrium, if you will. I bend over, I fall. I have no understanding anymore of up or down type things. So it's very, very difficult. So I bought a 3-wheel bike. And last week I get on my bike, I go through the trails, I go to different lakes. I film the moon in the daytime and the position of where the sun is as it's shining on that moon. So you'll know the moon is solar powered if you do this daily. And if you know the position and height of the sun versus the height and position of the moon, you'll never get lost as well. So know the moon phase, you'll know the position of the sun. Know the position of the sun, you'll know the moon phase. Again, it can be used as navigation over and above time. So I have a 3-wheel bike, got it out of Germany, and I take my time pedaling on trails to different lakes and so forth. And I let creation in its wonderful colors, the whites, the blues, the greens, the browns, all the different shades of those colors just seep into my body, into my mind. And it's a wonderful recovery process. So let me share some film clips of how I get around out here. So as my Better 3/4 states, always keep moving and never be a victim of your circumstances. So this is how we get around on a 3-wheel bike. And with this loss of balance and not feeling steady due to the brain tumor, we found a solution to get around the problem or challenges with not being able to paddle a kayak. Let me share that, because creation is just wonderful. And here's the latest shot of a lake that I always wanted to paddle. Beautiful colors and great wildlife. Let's go through that. So I had a special boat made with a large tumble home, a canoe that works like a kayak where you sit in the middle and you get to feel like you're normal again, looking at the wildlife, enjoying everything that paddling has to offer. So a great experience once again of restoration. So hopefully I've done a good job on explaining these 4 questions that people are constantly asking. And will it affect the scriptural studies, this brain tumor, moving forward? It already has. These scriptural studies on video take an inordinate amount of time, hours and hours. A 40-minute clip can take as much as 8 hours to do, if not more. Number 6, will it affect the scriptural assemblies? It already has. We've remained with only 2 scriptural groups right now, one in Asia and one here in North America. And again, until Sukkot, until we find out if the gamma knife surgery, the radiotherapy worked or not, we're going to pull back from some of those assemblies. We were in assemblies in Africa, Australia, New Zealand, South America, Europe, you name it, everywhere. So we had to pull back because I just don't have the juice or energy to do it while I'm in recovery mode. So please understand for now. Again, we'll regroup come pagan September, just before Sukkot and trumpets, to find out if the procedures worked. Will it affect the YouTube channel? Yes, I'm not responding to many of the comments. As you all already know from other video clips, all comments anyways are held for review. So the ones that are very rude and immature and foolish, the people that want to debate, want to goad me into these big debates, as an example, that are hell-bent on attempting to further tell me that the Father is the Son and the Son is the Father, Again, that's Catholic Second Babylon, the Beast training. I was there, been there, done that, didn't get a t-shirt. I'm not going back. So this is only one example of some of you that are not obliging by the request. Give me a year, or at least till Sukkot, till I find out if the procedures work. And then, maybe I'll get back into some of those great discussions with the details from the textbooks, etc. But for now, I'm pulling back, and hopefully some of you can understand. And I get it. There'll always be one or two that don't, and they'll want to fight. It's the itchy and scratchy show for them. Sorry, can't do that anymore, and shouldn't be anyways from a scriptural standpoint. So, that is all 7 items. I'll leave you with this final clip of one of my favorite lakes on Earth. It's called Rock Lake, and it comes with a beautiful, beautiful vantage point and view, and I try to get there every year. So, until next time, may Yahuwah continue to keep and guard us, and may his firstborn son, the firstborn son known as Yahushua, the one who cried out to Yahuwah for deliverance, be in everything we say and do. Have a YAHsome day, everyone.